Hey viewers, today I'm going to show you the process of disassembling, overhauling, and reassembling a single speed freewheel. This is on a BMX bike here. It's easiest to start out leaving the freewheel on the wheel. There's this ring around here. This is actually a cone, and this can be on there very tight. So you want to kind of get this loosened, and it's easiest to get this loosened while it's still firmly attached to the wheel. What I'm going to use is a small punch and a hammer. And what I want to do is turn this clockwise, and there's little dimples here. And so what I'll do is I'm going to fit this punch right into like one of those little dimples there, and then use the hammer to go ahead and try to turn this ring clockwise. So just fit that in there, and now once I kind of get it loosened where I can kind of turn it by hand, now that's as far as I want to go. I don't want to remove this ring yet. So now at this point I'm going to work on removing the freewheel from the hub. So I've got my freewheel remover tool here. There's a Park Tool FR6. So I'm going to fit this on there, and then I'm going to fit one of the axle nuts on here to hold the tool in place so it doesn't kind of pop out and strip out the little notches on the freewheel. So I get that down there like this, and I don't need to really crank this down. In fact, I want it just a little loose. I just want it to kind of hold the tool down into place. Now at this point, I'm going to use a breaker bar with a 1-inch socket, because that fits like the Park Tool freewheel removers. So I'll fit this on there, and then I'm going to turn the whole thing counterclockwise and try to get this freewheel off the wheel. There, and once I've got it broken loose, move this nut here, and then use the tool to unscrew the freewheel from the hub. And then I can lift the whole freewheel off the hub like that. Now for the next step here, I have the freewheel sitting in a shallow dish here because a lot of times when you take this apart, bearings will start falling out, and you want to keep track of all the bearings so that you know how many bearings went in. And there's some bearings on the top and there's some bearings on the bottom. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew this. I'm going to hold this part in the middle here so it doesn't turn, and then unscrew this ring here. And then when it comes loose, pick it up and set this aside. And so now here's all the top bearings. And I want to keep the top bearings and the bottom bearings separated because I want to know how many bearings were on the top and how many bearings were on the bottom. And sometimes they're a different size, but not always. So I have like a little magnet here. So I'm kind of holding this stuff down and just kind of pick out these bearings. And then I'm going to set them into a shallow dish here off to the side. Okay, so I have all the bearings from the top removed now. Now I can go ahead and lift this part up, and there's all the bearings on the bottom. And so I want to go ahead and carefully remove these and keep all those bearings all separated. So now, here's the inside part, and then there's also some spacers. You want to make sure you do not lose any of these spacers because we're going to be using the exact same number of spacers. We can kind of pull these apart and we can clean these as well. So clean all these parts, and we're going to count the number of the bearings that were on the top and the number of bearings that were on the bottom, and they look like they're both the same size. Okay, so I got these parts all cleaned up here. I cleaned them off just using like a degreaser here. There's 4 spacers. I've got the base little part here. There's the cog part, the little cone adjusting, or the little lock ring thing there. And I counted 47 bearings on the top and 47 bearings on the bottom. So there's all that. And I also removed the 2 pawls and the 2 springs and cleaned those off. And these bearings are all 1/8 inch bearings because I measured them using my bearing gauge here. So now I'm going to start getting ready to put it back together. Okay, I'm going to start with this part here. Notice the orientation of the little ramps. This is the side that you want to have facing up to start off with. So the little ramps are kind of angled this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use filled tenacious oil. This is kind of a sticky oil, like a thick oil. And I'm going to put a line of this oil around the race here. And this will help hold the bearings into place and work as a lubricant for this. And I have 47 brand new bearings here. And I already have, I put a little bit of the oil in there also to just make them a little bit easier so they don't roll all over the place. And so now what I'm going to do is, using a pair of tweezers, one at a time, just take the bearings and I'm just going to set them around the race to form a continuous line of 47 bearings all the way around. Okay, so I've got my 47 bearings all lined around there now. So next I'm going to take this little base part here, and I want to install the pawls and the springs. I'm going to use a little bit of grease in there because I don't want them to fall out as I'm putting this thing together. So I'm just going to squirt a little bit of grease down in these holes down here where they fit in. Just a little dab of grease down in there. And now I have the spring there, and it's got like a little pin on it. And so the spring was going to fit down into this hole over here. I'm going to push it that way. And then I'll take the pawl, it's got a pin, and it's going to stick in this hole over here like this, and I can push over like that. And the same thing on the other side. Here's another spring. Spring goes into this hole over here. I push it over here like this. And then I've got the pawl with the pin there. And stick it there like this. Now this is going to be the hardest part right here, is I want to drop this part down onto here. I need to push the pawls in so that they'll slide past the bearings and fall into place here. So just kind of use a screwdriver to kind of push the pawls in there and let it fall down into place like this. And now I can flip it over. And so now this is resting on the ball bearings there. And I want to be very careful. I do not want to have this fall apart and have the bearings fall out. Now for the next part here, I have the wheel mounted loosely in the vise with the threaded part facing up. I'm going to set this down onto the hub here, and then using the remover tool here, I'm going to get this screwed down onto the hub. And you want to be very, very careful. Don't have this thing fall apart. You have to start all over. And then just kind of screw it finger tight on there like that, and then lift this back up. Because now this just makes it a little easier to go ahead and work on this. And so you can feel the ratchet, they're kind of rolling around on the bearings there, and you got the ratchet part there working. So that'll kind of hold that. Next thing, I have the spacers that I pulled out. I'm going to drop these down into place there and kind of push those down. Now I'm going to add a little bit of oil here around this race here. Now I have 47 more brand new bearings, and then I'm going to place these in the race around here one at a time to form a nice little ring. Okay, so I've got my 47 bearings installed, and I can always take the opportunity to add a little bit more oil if I want. Kind of go around there and add a little bit more in. And so now I'm ready to install my little lock ring here. It's actually a cone there. And this is going to screw on counterclockwise. And so kind of get it started like that. And then once you kind of get it started, I can use my punch to go ahead and turn this around. And so now I want to get a little tighter than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my remover tool here, get this engaged with the freewheel there. I can use the axle nut, thread this on there to kind of hold the tool in place so that it doesn't slip. Then I'm going to use a 1-inch box end wrench here to kind of hold the tool to keep that from turning. Then at the same time, I'm going to use my punch and the hammer to tighten this just a little bit more. So just very carefully, just kind of tighten it, just tap it around. Like that. And it doesn't need to be super tight. Like that. Now I can go ahead and tighten the freewheel all the way onto the hub. So I'll just tighten that there, tighten this down a little bit, and I can also use my 1-inch wrench here. Just go ahead and tighten that onto the hub, and then remove my axle nut here, remove my tool, and so now we're all done. So now the freewheel turns the wheel in the one direction and turns freely in the other direction. And so that is how to overhaul a single speed freewheel. Hope you found this useful or interesting. If you did, please click like. I always appreciate getting likes on videos, and it helps me out. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, click the big yellow subscribe button, and you'll I post a lot of videos. You'll see them as they come out. And I'm also over on Facebook, RJ the Bike Guy. Go over, like my page over there, and I post a lot of stuff over there. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.